You click the button, nothing. You click again, still nothing. The window goes pale and a little wheel just spins, not responding. It feels like the whole machine died, except your music's still playing, so it isn't dead. One window just stopped answering you. The app isn't broken, it's stuck, still holding the one thing every click you make has to reach. The whole thing comes down to one fact, and I'll give it to you up front. Everything you watch one app do, every click it answers, every letter that appears when you type, is handled by a single thread, one worker. And the moment that one worker steps away, you're frozen. Let me back up. An app is a program the system runs in its own walled-off space. Inside it, one special thread does all the talking to you, the main thread. It owns the window, it owns every click and every keystroke. And all day, it runs one tiny loop. Check for the next thing that happened, handle it, check again. Thousands of times a second, so fast it feels instant. So your click never just happens. It drops in a line and waits for that one worker to come back around and pick it up. Picture that loop as an inbox. Everything that happens to your app arrives as a little note dropped in. You clicked here. You pressed this key. The worker takes the top note, does what it says, reaches for the next one. Thousands a second. But one kind of note is easy to overlook, and it turns out to be the important one. A window doesn't paint itself. Every time it needs to show something new, the system drops in a note that just says, redraw yourself. And the worker handles that note the exact same way, in the exact same line as your clicks. Which means the picture on your screen and every click you make are waiting on the same single worker. Hold on to that. And you never really click the app. You click the screen, and the operating system catches it first, works out which window is sitting under your cursor, and drops the note into that app's inbox. The app doesn't reach out and grab your click. It just finds it waiting the next time the worker checks the pile. So the entire feeling of a responsive computer, you click, it answers, rests on one quiet assumption, that the worker keeps coming back, keeps finishing its notes and reaching for the next. As long as it does, everything feels instant. So what happens the one time it doesn't come back? It goes off to do a job and gets stuck on it. Maybe it's a huge calculation that takes real time, but usually it's worse than that. The worker asks for something slow and then just waits. It asks for a big file off the disk, and the disk takes its time. It asks a server across the internet for an answer, and the answer never comes. It isn't looping anymore. It's frozen on one line, holding its breath. And your clicks? They drop into the inbox and stack up, unopened. Nobody's reading them. And it gets crueler. Redraw yourself is a note in that very same stack, so the window can't even repaint. It's stuck showing the last thing it managed to draw, a photograph of the exact moment the worker walked away. So who is drawing that spinning wheel? Not the app. The app can't draw anything. It's stuck. It's the operating system. The system is watching every app and it notices the moment one stops emptying its inbox. On a Mac, if an app goes about 2 seconds without touching its notes, the system paints that spinning beach ball over the window for it. On Windows, it waits about 5 seconds, then grays the window out, stamps "not responding" across the title, and takes over the drawing entirely. And think about how long 5 seconds really is in here. That little worker normally runs its loop thousands of times a second. 5 seconds of silence isn't a pause, it's millions of missed turns. Long enough for the system to step in and say, "I've got this one. You clearly can't." But hold on, if it's just one app's window, why does it feel like the whole screen locks up? Most of the time it doesn't. The beach ball just follows your cursor while you're over the dead window. Slide over to another app and it's perfectly alive, because the system keeps every app walled off in its own space so one can drown without dragging the rest down with it. But sometimes it really is everything. If the frozen app was filling the whole screen, there's nowhere else to look. Or the app isn't the real problem at all. The whole machine is choking, shoving memory out to the slow disk, and now every app is stuck waiting on that same disk at once. That's the difference between one frozen app and one starving computer. So go back to that frozen window. It isn't dead. One worker went off to do a slow job and hasn't made it back to check its inbox. Until it does, your clicks pile up unopened and the picture can't refresh. That's the whole freeze. And it points straight at the cure. A well-built app never sends that one worker off to do the slow stuff. It hands the heavy job to a helper in the background and keeps the main thread free to answer you. That's why a good app can show you a spinner it drew itself while it keeps working, instead of a frozen pane the system drew for it. And it's why force quit always works. The system held the leash the whole time. So the worker comes back, the beach ball stops, the window redraws, and that whole pile of clicks finally gets read all at once. It was never a dead computer, just one worker stuck on the wrong job.
Everything you just figured out rests on something deeper, and that's the next video, so start there. Would you rather understand your computer than just use it? Then subscribe, and I'll see you next time, further down the stack.